Before the college entrance examination, I just transmigrated into the body of a strange girl and immediately faced social death. The top student and campus heartthrob, publicly humiliating me as a garbage student? What's the big deal about scoring full marks and being the top of the grade? I will score exactly passing marks. 1. As soon as I transmigrated here, I faced social death. I was clinging to the academic heartthrob but failing miserably, even threatening to jump off the building, and the whole school was watching. With light rain falling, I shivered, looking at this unfamiliar body and then at the crowd of teachers and friends below. I truly became the center of attention. In the past, I was surrounded by a halo, a provincial college entrance examination champion, a graduate student at Peking University, always in the spotlight, receiving applause and flowers. Now, in this body, I'm also the center of attention, but it's all mockery and insults. Someone from below yelled, "Zhu meow meow, go ahead and jump. You're at the bottom of your grade and still have the face to chase after the top student. How shameless. You're simply a disgrace to our school." The original owner's name is Zhu Meow Meow, a senior high school student who confessed to the academic heartthrob Chen Siwen but failed, leading her to consider jumping off the building as a way out. I value my life too much, but I was just a bit unlucky, suffering a car accident on the day of my graduate defense. When I woke up again, I had transmigrated into Zhu Meow Meow's body. I shouted loudly downstairs, "Everyone disperse, go back to your evening study, I'm not jumping anymore." What a truly embarrassing social death scene. Fortunately, my mental fortitude is strong. At that moment, Chen Siwen appeared, looking disgusted. "Zhu Meow Meow, even if you die, I won't like you, a garbage student. You'll always be trash." Hearing this, my temper flared up instantly. Seeing a loudspeaker next to the rooftop, I picked it up and shouted downstairs, "Chen Siwen, you don't deserve the word Siwen. You discriminate against students and disregard life. No matter how good your grades are, what does it matter? You have no conscience. You are the real garbage, completely unworthy of my attention." My words drew the audience into silence. Hey, I'm used to it. I often gave speeches as an outstanding student and was very persuasive. Then, a tall girl shouted, "Meow meow, come down. Your dad just called and said if you can't get into college, you'll go back home to farm." Laughter erupted from the crowd, yelling for me to go home and farm, and I faced social death again. 2. I was dragged to the principal's office, and the homeroom teacher demanded my expulsion, claiming I was wasting the academic heartthrob Chen Siwen's study time. To protect this seat of Tsinghua University, I must be eliminated. "Zhu Meow Meow, your grades are too poor. You might as well go to a vocational school and learn planting techniques," the homeroom teacher and other teachers mocked, looking at students like garbage without dignity. I smiled lightly. What if my grades were really good? What a joke. Do you think I don't know your capabilities? The homeroom teacher looked disgusted. At that moment, the principal spoke, "Let's do this, Zhu Meow Meow, if you pass all subjects in this month's exam, you can stay, otherwise, we'll find another suitable path for you. There are only 3 days until the exam, Zhu Meow Meow, you'd better work hard," the homeroom teacher said sarcastically, her spirits high, thinking my expulsion was a done deal. I opened the office door and saw the tall girl who told me to farm. The gleam of glee in her eyes hadn't faded yet. In an instant, she immediately changed her expression and asked me with concern, "Meow Meow, are you okay?" Seeing her, the homeroom teacher greeted her with a smile, "Oh, Yuan. You did well in the last exam. You and Chen Siwen were competing for the top 2 spots. I believe you two will be the future stars of Tsinghua and Peking University." Looking at me again, the homeroom teacher's face was filled with disdain. "You and Zhu Meow Meow are cousins. How can the difference be so great?" "So I'm cousins with this Yuan." On the way out of school, I learned a lot of information. I'm a poor student from the countryside, living at Yuan's house in the city. Let's set that aside for now. I should first understand the school's monthly exams. Has anyone ever scored full marks in the monthly exam? Yuan couldn't contain her pride. Both Chen Siwen and I have scored full marks in English and physics. Then she changed the subject. Meow meow, why are you asking this? You're not thinking of cheating, are you? Even if you cheat, Chen Siwen won't like you. Heh, I snorted coldly. Cheating? I wouldn't stoop that low. After returning home, oh no, back to Yuan's house, I quickly reviewed the previous monthly exam papers. Zhu Miao Miao's scores were dismal: 58 in math, 69 in English, 120 in comprehensive science. I sighed in despair and quickly corrected them, working until 5 in the morning. I finally completed 3 sets of monthly exam papers, and my skill in answering questions returned. Actually, this monthly exam paper isn't that difficult. I easily solved the later math problems. Full marks should be no problem, but I have a mischievous streak. 3. On Monday, after a day of exams, I let out a sigh. It was exhausting. Bang! The sanitation officer threw a broom at my head. Hurry up and clean. Today isn't my duty, my name isn't on the list. Right, today is Yuwen's turn, but she went to a tutoring class. You, as her cousin living at her house, what's wrong with helping her clean? I flatly refused. Stop trying to morally bind me. If it's not my duty, I won't do it. The sanitation officer stepped forward immediately. Zhu Miao Miao, you can't study to save your life and are dragging the class down. What's wrong with asking you to clean and contribute to the class? Humph. Does that mean dumb people deserve to clean? Have you forgotten the word diligence? The sanitation officer wanted to argue further, but other classmates quickly gathered around, teasing, oh, how dare we let Zhu Miao Miao clean? Be careful, she might jump off again. This only fueled the sanitation officer's enthusiasm. Right, I can't afford to mess with you, Zhu Miao Miao. Just wait for the exam results, I'll get you expelled. The next day, the homeroom teacher announced the exam results. The top student this time is still Class 1's Chen Siwen. However, our Yuan did well too, coming in second, with a perfect score in English. This math test was particularly difficult. The highest score is 110, and it's Chen Siwen. Yuan scored 109. The students looked at their returned math papers, wailing, wasn't that last bonus question way beyond the syllabus? I've never seen anything like it before. The homeroom teacher sighed, well, someone at the first school managed to solve it. Our second school students still need to work hard. Yuan bit her lip and said regretfully, teacher, I was a bit careless, I made a mistake in the proof for the last math question. The teacher comforted her, it's okay. During the break, go discuss it with Chen Siwen in Class 1. Let's see if your hard work pays off. Okay, teacher. I won't disappoint you, Yuan said with enthusiasm, looking determined. After recognizing the outstanding students, everyone's gaze shifted to me. Did Zhu Miao Miao pass all her subjects? If not, let's throw a farewell party for her to send her back to the countryside to farm. The homeroom teacher opened the printed results and read. Zhu Miao Miao scored 90 in math, 90 in English, 90 in Chinese, and 180 in comprehensive science. Did she even pass? In an instant, everyone's gaze focused on me. She actually passed. Oh, what does it matter if she just passed? She can't get into college anyway, they laughed again. I smiled, looking at them calmly. Finally, someone realized, how did she manage to score just right? Getting a perfect score is easy, but scoring just enough to pass all subjects isn't. How did she do that? The discussion about me in the class hadn't ended when the grade director called my name at the door. Zhu Miao Miao, your math paper is with me. Come to my office. Originally, only the students in the first few rows could hear the grade director's voice, and I was already preparing to stand up to go to the office. At that moment, Yuan raised her voice and pretended to be worried as she looked at me. Miao Miao, did you cheat in math? I told you not to cheat. Why didn't you listen? You might get expelled, and think how sad your parents would be. Yuan acted as if she were disappointed. Other students chimed in, shoo. She cheated. The grade director is after her, how embarrassing. I was annoyed by their noise, it was giving me a headache. I stepped forward and said to the grade director, since you called me, why not say it to my face? With your level, can you tell whether I cheated or not? The grade director was momentarily stunned and laughed. From my level, I can see that you used an advanced math problem-solving method for the last bonus question, which doesn't match the standard answer. Director, you really have great skills. I chuckled lightly. Now it was Yu Wen's turn to be dumbfounded. She even rudely snatched my paper from the grade director's hand. How coincidental. Now I get it, she said with a sly smile. The grade director looked confused and asked, what did you figure out? I have a few advanced math books in my study. Meow Meow must have casually flipped through one and memorized the answer to that question. Unfortunately, I didn't pay much attention back then and didn't understand the method. The class erupted into murmurs. Yeah, how could she solve a bonus question that even the second in the grade didn't understand? TSK, she just happened to memorize the answer. Can she memorize answers for the college entrance exam? The grade director was skeptical and sighed, addressing me, it's also the teacher's fault, Zhu Meow Meow. How could someone who's at the bottom of the class solve such a difficult advanced math problem? Alright, go back to your seat. Memorizing answers won't help, it's better to study hard. The homeroom teacher shot me a glare, urging me to return to my seat quickly. Zhu Meow Meow, don't think you can fool the teacher by memorizing answers, that's equivalent to cheating. Don't tarnish our class 2's reputation. I didn't cheat. Didn't Yu Wen just say she didn't understand that bonus question's advanced solution? Then let me explain it to her in front of everyone. I scoffed at Yu Wen, directly going to the podium, picking up the chalk, and starting to work out the problem while explaining each step. Done. So, how was it? Did everyone understand the advanced math problem-solving method? Yu Wen, as the second in the grade, did you get it? Yu Wen was stunned, stuttering, I didn't hear. Now whatever she said put her in a passive position. If she claimed to understand, it would make her look inferior to me. If she said she didn't, it would make her seem dumb. Seeing her struggle, I was overjoyed. I believe many people didn't understand the advanced math problem-solving method, so I'll explain the conventional method. I wrote vigorously on the blackboard, and the students below looked as wilted as frostbitten eggplants. Did you understand? Silence. It seemed they were all stunned by my sudden display of skill. I sneered, if you can't understand such a simple question, you might as well go back to farming. Now I returned all the mockery and insults they once hurled at Zhu Meow Meow. The grade director looked delighted. I found a good candidate for advanced math. Zhu Meow Meow, the school plans to select 3 students to participate in the provincial advanced math competition. Do you have confidence? Of course. I had previously won provincial awards in advanced math competitions, it was just a matter of retracing old steps. Let's go, follow me to the office for a good chat. The grade director looked at me like I was his own daughter. Suddenly, the grade director seemed to remember something and coldly said to my homeroom teacher, as the homeroom teacher, don't underestimate your students, especially Zhu Meow Meow. Move her seat to the front row and get her a staff cafeteria meal card to ensure she gets proper nutrition. The homeroom teacher nodded repeatedly in agreement. See, good students have privileges, it feels great. 4. After returning to Yu Wen's house that evening, I discovered that Yu Wen had been beaten by her parents. Her parents, who are my uncle and aunt. Look at how Meow Meow is going to participate in the provincial math competition. You, the second in the grade, why aren't you one of the 3 chosen? I stood outside listening to the reprimands, shrugging indifferently. Among the 3 spots for the provincial math competition, there were me, Chen Siwen, and another classmate who had been doing math since elementary school. Smack. There was another sound of a slap in the room, accompanied by my aunt's sharp voice, Meow Meow is just a guest in our home, how can a girl from the countryside participate in the provincial math competition? You're second in the grade, how embarrassing. Go study. The door opened. And Yuan came out covering her swollen face, glaring at me with resentment. I smiled at her openly. Oh dear, that looks painful. Meow meow, how can you be so gloating and malicious? I admitted I was gloating, but if we were talking about malice, it had to be her. I sneered and threw a pile of love letters in front of her. These love letters were written to me by you, right? Yuan's expression changed, trying to hide her nervousness. What nonsense are you talking about? Why would I write you love letters? You've been imitating Chen Siwen's handwriting and writing love letters to me in his name, haven't you? I coldly exposed her malicious scheme. Here's what happened. I found a locked drawer in my room, and out of curiosity, I found the key and opened it. Inside was a pile of love letters and a diary. The love letters were mushy and were supposedly written by Chen Siwen, expressing a desire to be Meow Meow's guardian angel, her armor of love. But they were all clichés, easily found online, yet they struck a chord with Zhu Meow Meow. In her diary, Zhu Meow Meow wrote about the pain of living in Yuan's home for 2 years. She was originally smart and had a solid academic foundation, often ranking above Yuan in exams, but instead of receiving praise, she faced exclusion and retaliation from her uncle's family. How could a girl from the countryside outperform their precious daughter? In retaliation for her good grades, they made her life miserable, like abandoning her to go to amusement parks on weekends while hiring tutors for Yuan, but not for her. Zhu Meow Meow thought about resisting, calling her parents for help, but her uncle's family wore masks of hypocrisy and reported back to her parents, saying she was disobedient, even threatening to kick her out. Zhu Meow Meow's parents were honest farmers, unable to compete with her uncle's family's cunning. Zhu Meow Meow could only suffer alone. One rainy day, Chen Siwen invited her to share an umbrella, and the girl's heart seemed to find support. Soon after, Chen Siwen started writing her love letters. The girl became anxious, losing focus on her studies. One time, she fell off her bike, broke her leg, and spent a month in the hospital, falling behind in her studies. Later, she developed psychological issues, unable to reconcile the Chen Siwen from the love letters with the real Chen Siwen, wondering why there was such a big difference. This led to the scene I had come into at the beginning, her jumping off the building for love. That wasn't love, it was clearly poison. Yuan, don't you think it's mentally unstable to pretend to be Chen Siwen writing me love letters? I mocked. She adamantly denied it. What are you talking about? Don't slander me. You wrote love letters with mushy words, and I'll give you that, but you also deliberately suppressed and secretly encouraged suicide in the last letter. You're too malicious. I directly slapped her. I couldn't tolerate this. This slap was for the deceased Zhu Meow Meow. How could you hit me, Zhu Meow Meow? Yuan tried to retaliate. What a joke. I joined the Taekwondo club in college, okay? She really asked for it. Smack. I slapped her again. At that moment, my uncle and aunt came out, hearing the commotion. Are you two fighting? If your studies are bad, why can you argue? Yuan quickly complained, Mom and Dad, it's Zhu Meow Meow who hit me. Never mind, we were just discussing studies. Yuan changed her story because I waved my phone in front of her. The screen clearly showed I was dialing 110. She immediately backed down, feeling guilty about what she had encouraged Zhu Meow Meow to do in the love letters. Actually, there wasn't any solid evidence, otherwise, I would have reported her long ago. It's really necessary to understand the law. In the study, she began her performance, crying bitterly in front of me. Meow meow, I didn't mean to. Look at all the injuries on my body. As long as you perform better than me in exams, my parents will punish me. I directly interrupted her, shut up. I don't want to hear your nonsense. I'm not a saint, and I will never forgive you. I couldn't replace Zhu Meow Meow in forgiving her. Even if Zhu Meow Meow's soul wanted to forgive her, I wouldn't allow it. In the next second, I issued her an eviction order, get out. I want to read. From now on, I will keep getting better and will always outperform you. 5. Today is the day to represent the school in the provincial math competition. On the school bus, I ran into Chen Siwen. Meeting his disdainful gaze, I smiled nonchalantly and suddenly remembered something funny. Guardian angel, armor of love. What are you talking about? He looked at me in confusion. Nothing, haha. I recalled the cheesy lines Yuan had ghostwritten for me, and seeing Chen Siwen's indifference made me unable to hold back my laughter. I guess my sense of humor is really low. I don't know what means you used to qualify for the competition, but please take it seriously. Don't treat it lightly. How do you think those who lost their spots because of you feel? Chen Siwen reprimanded me with a stern face. I chuckled. The means I used is called strength. I can laugh if I want, it's ridiculous to think about occupying spots. Strength speaks for itself, understand? Chen Siwen was choked by my words and replied bluntly, don't think you can get close to me. Whether it's a suicide threat or pretending to study hard, I will never like you. After saying this, he got off the bus directly, clearly showing his dislike for me, but I didn't care at all. At that moment, another male student participating in the competition approached me. Zhu Miao Miao, did you scare Chen Siwen away? He probably thinks it's uncomfortable on the bus and that a taxi would be more comfortable. I replied. Zhu Miao Miao, can you really solve math competition problems? If you come in last at this provincial competition, it will be embarrassing for our school, right? I chuckled, too lazy to explain. Talking with strength is the most convincing. Half a month later, the results of the provincial math competition came out. Many teachers were standing in the grade director's office, and a crowd of students gathered outside, all eagerly waiting for the rankings of the three of us. If any of us could make it into the top 3 of the provincial competition, it would bring a significant positive impact on the school's enrollment and financial funding. The grade director first entered Chen Siwen's candidate number. Chen Siwen, second place, second place. In an instant, the office erupted in excitement. It was such a brilliant achievement, no wonder he's the first in the grade, he brought honor to our school. Amazing. Yes, amazing. Let's apply for a scholarship for Chen Siwen right away. The grade director was very excited. Another contestant, feeling discontent and nervous, said, Director, please check my score, maybe I'm first. The grade director patted his shoulder. What are you thinking? You're in 20th place. It's already a pleasant surprise for our school to have a second place. Chen Siwen had a slight smile on his lips, seeming quite satisfied with the result. Everyone surrounded Chen Siwen, praising him, completely forgetting about me. I checked the time, it was almost noon, and it was time to eat. By the way, the braised pork rice at the staff cafeteria is really delicious. Oh, and there's Zhu Miao Miao's score. 95 points, first place, first? First. As soon as the director finished speaking, the lively atmosphere in the office immediately dissipated, replaced by shocked gazes directed at me. First place, I know, I smiled lightly. As I had expected. I had already been first in the province before. At that moment, my homeroom teacher suddenly raised her voice sharply. How is this possible? Zhu Miao Miao actually defeated those top contenders from number 1 high school and won first place in the provincial competition. How is this possible? I calmly replied, why not? I've been studying all night these past few days, even calculating in my mind while eating. There's nothing impossible, only hard work, and there's always a chance to achieve something. In an instant, the teachers who had previously looked down on Zhu Miao Miao became friendly and started praising me. My homeroom teacher was even more enthusiastic. The teachers misunderstood you. Zhu Miao Miao, you're really amazing. I didn't expect to have a student who won first place in the provincial competition. Is she trying to use my achievement to enhance her reputation? I've never seen someone so shameless. Sorry, my achievement has nothing to do with you. It was the grade director who discovered me. I stepped on my homeroom teacher while praising the grade director. It made my homeroom teacher furious, but she couldn't do anything about it. Teachers, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. The grade director called out to me, "Zhu Miao Miao, where are you going? Come with me to meet the principal, he will definitely commend you." I pretended to hesitate, saying, "Director, the principal has to eat lunch too. I need to eat as well." "Nothing can stop me from eating. Because the braised pork rice is just too delicious. By the way, it's not that I'm trying to show off, it's because Zhu Miao Miao has a stomach problem and must eat on time. Regardless of my studies, health comes first." 6. In the afternoon, I met with the principal. The principal applied for a scholarship of 5,000 yuan for me and recommended a renowned teacher. This renowned teacher specializes in teaching math competitions and has produced many students who won first prizes in national competitions. Yes, the principal wants me to participate in the national math competition to bring glory to the school. On my way home after school, Yuan no longer dared to walk with me, her gaze towards me was filled with resentment and guilt. However, an unexpected person stopped me. It was Chen Siwen. In the backlight, he actually looked pretty good. "Zhu Miao Miao, give me the contact information for that renowned teacher." "Ah? Why should I give it to you? I heard that Teacher Li has a limited number of spots for students. He has taught many students who won first prizes in national competitions," Chen Siwen said seriously. "But why does that concern me? I won't give it to you. If you want it, go ask the principal." I chuckled and continued, "That renowned teacher only accepts one student from our school. Do you want to contact him privately to take my spot?" I hit a nerve with him, and he felt awkward. "No, I just want to contact that renowned teacher privately, hoping he can accept me as well." "Zhu Miao Miao, I didn't expect you to be so good at math competitions. I thought you were just focused on dating and bothering me, so I found you a bit annoying. Sorry, when you threatened to jump off a building, I shouldn't have said that even if you died, I wouldn't like you." His words sounded sincere, but I wanted to ask, if I hadn't won first place in the provincial competition, would you apologize to me? This? I think I would, Zhu Miao Miao. Let's improve together, aim for the national competition, and get into Tsinghua or Peking University. By that time, maybe I'll be with you. Huh? I must not have heard correctly, was he painting a picture for me? Zhu Miao Miao. Give me Teacher Li's contact information. I will definitely do well in the math competition. So will you. Just don't rush it, take it steady and solid. I immediately interrupted him, Chen Siwen, go home and look in the mirror. I turned to leave without looking back, and he got anxious. Zhu Miao Miao, are you playing hard to get? Didn't you suddenly start studying hard just to get my attention? Isn't it all for me? What do you think you are? I left in a stylish manner, too lazy to pay attention to him. Chen Siwen probably has been pampered for too long, thinking that everyone likes his scholarly and popular aura. But sorry, I don't like him and think he's quite silly. Later, Chen Siwen somehow managed to squeeze into Teacher Li's math training class. On weekends, we both attended math training, and I treated him like air. I thought I would continue down the path of math competitions until something unexpected happened next that made me start to waver. 7. During the school's third mock exam, I messed up and ranked third overall. I thought my foundation for the college entrance exam was solid, and balancing the math competition would be no problem, but reality hit me hard. I had hoped to achieve first place in my grade. Lately, I seemed to be in poor spirits, always feeling sleepy. By the way, the first and second places were still held by Chen Siwen and Yuan. Yuan began to act sarcastically toward me. Miao Miao, getting third place is already impressive. I thought you could handle both the math competition and all the subjects for the college entrance exam. No big deal, you're not perfect, after all. It's impossible to excel in everything. My aunt also started her lecturing, Miao Miao, that provincial first prize you got in the math competition is actually useless, it won't guarantee you admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. You'd be better off focusing on the college entrance exam. Besides, your family is so poor, how can you afford to participate in various math training courses? It's a waste of money and effort, you won't even get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Then my aunt lovingly patted Yuwen's cheek. My daughter is great, ranking second in the grade. It's worth the money I spend on her tutoring, your homeroom teacher said with a little more effort. She'll be able to reach the threshold for Tsinghua or Peking University. Just as I was about to say something, my uncle came over. This weekend is Yuwen's birthday, your mom will come to celebrate and check on you. Got it, I replied, not knowing what Zhu Miao's mom looked like. On the weekend, I attended a day of classes at the math training camp, then tiredly rushed back to celebrate Yuwen's birthday. I also met Zhu Miao's mom, an ordinary and kind middle-aged woman, though a bit reserved. Yuwen asked, I heard your math training camp arranged a nationwide test today, how did you do? What score did you get? I shot her a cold glance, I don't know. Just then, Yuwen's WeChat buzzed. Chen Siwen said you messed up the math test. Ah, should I not have said that? Yuwen acted all innocent, feigning concern. My aunt fanned the flames, saying to Zhu Miao's mom, you need to keep an eye on your Miao. If she messes up math and fails the college entrance exam, what will we do? If she has to repeat a year, we can't accommodate her anymore. Zhu Miao's mom quickly took out a gift for Yuwen, a gold bracelet. This is a birthday gift for Wenwen. Thank you for taking care of Miao these past 2 years, I will talk to her. Next, I was dragged downstairs by Zhu Miao's mom for a lecture, while Yuwen and her mom stood on the balcony, relishing the moment, looking quite pleased. Zhu Miao's mom earnestly advised me, Miao. Studying math shouldn't lead to wasted efforts and a failed college entrance exam. I heard that math training is quite expensive, how can our family afford that? You should give up math and focus on the college entrance exam. Mom. My voice trembled when I called her mom, as I came from an orphan background and had relied on the kindness of strangers to get into university. I had genuinely liked math when I started studying it, but eventually reached a stop at the provincial first prize, being persuaded by those around me to give up and focus on the college entrance exam. Now I was facing the same choice again, but this time I had lived my life once more and didn't want to give up so easily. Mom, I want to ask you a question. Go ahead, child. If I say I really like math and guarantee I will strive to win the national competition's first prize, would you believe me? I asked seriously. Well, I guess I would believe you. I chuckled, yeah, I believe it too. But what about the training fees? What if you fail the college entrance exam? Zhu Miao's mom was still worried. The teacher said if I win the national competition's first prize, I will be exempt from training fees and receive a cash prize. As for the college entrance exam, I will balance both. Zhu Miao's mom stared at me for a long time before finally relenting. Miao, then you must work hard. Seeing the tears in her eyes, I suddenly felt guilty and embarrassed. My assurances were ultimately just empty words, but this kind mother believed them. I composed myself and asked another question. While I'd been staying at my uncle's for 2 years, have we been giving them living expenses? Of course. We give 2,000 a month for your living expenses. Why? Are they unhappy with that? Zhu Miao's mom became nervous, fearing to upset my uncle's family. I held her hand. Mom, don't feel guilty. 2,000 is more than enough. They spend less than a few hundred on me. Next, I want to do something. Mom, will you stand by me? Of course I will. What is it? I smirked, to give Yuwen a big birthday gift. An hour later, while Yuwen was blowing out the candles on her cake, the police showed up. I was the one who called them. The officer looked at Yuwen. Aren't you a student? Why did you put poison in someone's drink? Yuwen panicked. No, I didn't. I didn't poison Zhu Miao. That was just a sleeping pill. Huh. She confessed. With that kind of psychological state, how could she think she could poison someone? The police were about to take Yuwen away, and my uncle and aunt panicked, turning to scold me. Zhu Miao, you're so spiteful, calling the police on our Wenwen. Fine, I'll show you who's truly spiteful. I raised my phone and played a video of you when sneaking into my room and pouring some powder into my cup. How did I record this video? A few days ago, I had underperformed in the school's mock exam, only ranking 3rd. I noticed something was off with my body, often feeling sleepy. I had a bad suspicion, so I intentionally hid my phone in a dark corner aimed at my desk. It also related to how I messed up today's math test in the training camp, and it was connected to you when drugging me. UN, studying should be about healthy competition, not using dirty tricks like poisoning. UN cried out as the police led her away, causing a stir in the entire building. Now her reputation would be ruined throughout the neighborhood and at school. Later, the police confirmed it was just sleeping powder with no poison, and due to my uncle's family's emotional manipulation, I didn't pursue the matter further. 8. My mom rented an apartment for me off campus, telling me to focus on preparing for the national math competition. As the competition approached, my test scores improved significantly. In the school's college entrance exam mock test, I performed well, firmly securing first place in my grade. I did it. I balanced the math competition and the college entrance exam. Because I put in more effort than others, even surpassing my previous self. Having lived my life again, I wanted to shine brighter than before. Meanwhile, Chen Siwen couldn't handle the pressure and dropped out of the math competition to focus on the college entrance exam. Zhu Miao Miao, your name has been with me throughout these 3 years of high school. I used to dislike you, but now my feelings are somewhat complicated. What's complicated about it? I hope we meet again at Tsinghua. I'm leaving. Chen Siwen's words seemed to carry deeper meaning, but I had no interest in asking him further. Seeing his lonely figure, elongated by the setting sun, I found it quite amusing. I had defeated the top student, humbled his arrogance, and made him give up on the math competition in favor of a safer approach to the college entrance exam. Honestly, I looked down on him a bit. But I considered this my revenge for Zhu Miao Miao. Half a month later, I stood in the examination hall for the national math competition. The competition spanned 2 days, with 4.5 hours each day, covering 6 problems. I performed consistently, even exceeding expectations on the final problem. When the final results were announced, I heard the audience's enthusiastic applause, and my lead teacher rush over to hug me tightly. Because I, Zhu Miao Miao, scored full marks and won the first prize, a gold medal. I was thrilled. I had really won the national math competition's first prize with a perfect score, ranking 1st. The overwhelming applause and flowers showered upon me. Thankfully, I was used to such grand occasions. Otherwise, I might have floated away straight into outer space. Next came the process of applying for recommendation for admission. I chose Peking University. Because in my previous life, I had been a graduate student at Peking University, and I wanted to go back to see my mentor and senior students in the lab again and continue publishing my papers. After applying for recommendation, I still had to take an entrance exam for Peking University. I passed smoothly but encountered one problem. The major for my recommendation wasn't the microelectronics field I desired. Although you won the first prize at the national math competition, there are many talents like you, and our microelectronics program is a key program that requires even more outstanding talent, said a teacher from the admissions office. The teacher was right. The admissions standards for the microelectronics program were much higher than when I entered in my previous life. But I felt helpless. Was I unable to return to the microelectronics program? In the end, the teacher gave me 2 options. One was to give up the recommendation, and the other was to enroll in another program first and then take the entrance exam for microelectronics. Zhu Miao Miao, you have 2 days to consider and make your choice. We look forward to your enrollment. Thank you, teacher. I stood on a road not far from the school, noticing what seemed like dried bloodstains by the roadside. I remembered the scene of my accidental death in my previous life. I must say, that car crash was too severe, smashing away the life I was about to take off. At that time, the experiment I was involved in was about to yield results, and my first authored paper was about to be published. If I hadn't died, I might have become a big name in academia. Haha, no need to boast. By the way, my paper should have been published by now, right? I left it on the laptop in the lab. I searched for my paper on my phone and was almost about to throw my phone when I saw the first author. The first author was not my name. My name in my previous life was Chinrunan. To my shock, the first author was actually my junior from the same lab, Jiarenhao. 9. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of June. Just in time for Zhu Miaomiao's grandfather's 70th birthday, I went back to the countryside to celebrate the elder's birthday. Zhu Miaomiao had many relatives. It was a large family with a banquet lasting 3 days. Among the relatives were many students who would take the college entrance examination this year. They gathered together to discuss their estimated scores and the admission lines for various universities. Yuan was among them. She looked much thinner but seemed to be in good spirits. I estimate my score to be 604, I should be able to get into Peking University. As soon as she said this, everyone looked at her with envy or jealousy. Yuan is so amazing. She's truly a child of the city with good schools and resources. My aunt said at the right moment, "Oh, it's all thanks to my Wenwen being smart, we didn't worry at all." My aunt was lying. She had hired a lot of tutors for Yuan and spent a lot of money preparing for the exam. At this moment, an unpleasant voice broke in, "What about Zhu Miaomiao? Isn't she staying at your house? What's her estimated score?" I was called out, and just as I was about to speak, my mom jumped in to defend me. "It's boarding, not fostering, we give her living expenses. Also, our Miao Miao is directly admitted, she doesn't need to take the entrance exam." My dad was nodding along beside her, they were genuinely proud of me. Unfortunately, I was about to disappoint them. When they heard about my direct admission, the relatives congratulated my parents and surrounded me with questions. What's the process for direct admission? Is it difficult? Is direct admission better or the entrance exam? In an instant, I became the center of attention, directly admitted to Peking University no less. I casually responded a few times and went back to eating. These 4 happiness meatballs were quite delicious. At this moment, an unpleasant voice echoed again, "Direct admission? Zhu Miaomiao, I didn't see your name on the admission list." The speaker was a girl I recognized, Lu Lingli, a junior from my taekwondo club in my previous life. I had introduced her to a mentor and even guided her undergraduate thesis. What a coincidence to run into someone I knew. Lu Lingli. Ah? I guess we're somewhat distantly related, but you actually know my name. I work as a teaching assistant in the admissions office, but I didn't see your name on the direct admission list. Lu Lingli's remark made me the target of everyone's scrutiny. She was still that straightforward girl, unchanged. The relatives whispered among themselves, "What's going on? She even lied about direct admission, how shameless." My parents tried hard to defend me, insisting I wouldn't lie, that I had indeed won the national first prize in math competitions. At that moment, my aunt screeched, "Look! Zhu Miaomiao's name is indeed not on the direct admission list on the Peking University website." "Oh dear, Miao Miao, how could you lie? Didn't you get your application for direct admission approved? I told you math competitions are useless." My aunt was full of arrogance, striking with her sarcastic comments. My parents pulled me aside and asked what was going on. I had no choice but to admit it. I didn't succeed in getting direct admission because I voluntarily gave it up. "What? You gave it up? How could you? You're being ridiculous. What now? Are you going to repeat the year and take the exams for Tsinghua and Peking University?" My parents sighed repeatedly, believing I could only repeat the year now. The relatives pointed fingers at me, convinced that I lacked ability or was simply a habitual liar. Just as I was about to explain the whole story to my parents, someone at the dining table exclaimed, "The college entrance exam results can be checked." Soon, everyone's attention shifted to checking their scores. "Ah, I passed the undergraduate line and can apply to 985 universities. Oh, I just missed it by a little." My score is even higher than my estimated 604, it's 606. I can get into Peking University. This was Yuwen's shout. My uncle's family was particularly delighted, immediately inviting all relatives to celebrate Yuwen's admission banquet, preparing for a big celebration. Lu Lingli chimed in with her usual bluntness, 606 isn't that great, you just barely made it. It's not guaranteed you'll get into Peking University. My aunt countered, isn't 606 a good score? Just because you work in the Peking University admissions office doesn't mean you know everything. Lu Lingli was retorted and puffed up with anger. I agreed with her statement, 606 was merely the minimum for Peking University. I picked up my phone, ready to check my score. At this moment, Yuwen leaned over with a smug look, Zhu Miao Miao, you used to boast that you would always be better than me, but now look, I'm better than you. I can get into Peking University, but you can't. She felt she finally had the upper hand, pouring out all her grievances and hardships in her exam preparations onto me. All I wanted to say was how pitiful this girl was. Under her parents' pressure, she probably had some psychological issues. I suddenly remembered when you slipped me sleeping pills before my exam. I thought after you got taken away by the police, you would reflect and truly repent. Well, now all the relatives knew about the dirty deeds she had done. She had brought it on herself. Seriously? Is my phone out of balance again? I muttered as I looked down at my phone. Use my phone to check. Lu Lingli readily handed me her phone and then asked, you didn't get direct admission to Peking University, so you went to take the college entrance exam? Yeah. I nodded. The results came out, 725 points. Zhu Miao Miao, what's your score? Lu Lingli casually asked. I casually replied, 725 points. What? 725 points. Zhu Miao Miao, you scored 725. Lu Lingli's loud voice instantly brought everyone's attention back to me. You must be the top scorer in the provincial college entrance exam. Before long, my parents' phones started ringing continuously. It was the admissions offices of Tsinghua and Peking University. After hanging up the phone, they directly hugged me and cried uncontrollably. I can't believe it. Our Miao Miao is the provincial top scorer in the college entrance exam, and both Tsinghua and Peking University are fighting over her. Miao Miao, you're so naughty. You made our hearts jump up and down. First, no direct admission, now the provincial top scorer. I thought you hadn't taken the exam. My parents were in tears, feeling both love and frustration towards me. I was also affected by their tears and felt like crying a bit. To be honest, I felt I had worked hard too. Winning the national first prize in the math competition and being the provincial top scorer in the college entrance exam, these two achievements were dreams from my past life, and in this life, they had come true. Grandpa, celebrating his birthday, was also very happy. He said that my being the provincial top scorer was the greatest gift for his birthday. He then decided to extend the birthday banquet for another 3 days as a celebration for my admission. Relatives in the family flocked to me. Some were reporters wanting exclusive interviews with this top scorer, some were tutoring center teachers wanting to use me for advertising. And many were ordinary parents asking me to share my college entrance exam experiences. I, Zhu Miao Miao, was simply amazing. After feeling secretly pleased, I had something important to do next. Lu Lingli pulled me aside, trying hard to convince me to reject Tsinghua and choose Peking University. Miao Miao, choose Peking University. There are 10 great benefits to going there, I'll tell you all about them. I smiled and interrupted her, no need to persuade me, I choose Peking University. Ah, I haven't even made my case yet. Ha ha ha, my top scorer junior. Lu Lingli affectionately wrapped her arm around mine, as if we were about to become close friends. In fact, there was a very important reason for my choice of Peking University, that was revenge. 10. I searched online for many news articles and even did some field research. I finally learned the truth about my death. The car that hit me was owned by the father of my lab junior, Jiao. What a coincidence. Jia's father drove to find Jiao and accidentally hit me while drunk driving. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Meanwhile, Jiao stole my research results and plagiarized my first authored paper. To be honest, I even suspected this was a conspiracy between the father and son. However, the police confirmed that it was indeed just a coincidence and an accident. Jia's father didn't know me and had no sufficient motive to kill. As for Jiao stealing my paper, it can only be said that he was truly disgusting. He had no remorse for the victim who was killed by his father and instead took full advantage of the situation, copying my paper from my notebook, making slight modifications, and presenting it as his own. How can there be so many shameless people in the world? Jiao major is microelectronics, and he is currently in his 3rd year of graduate school, working as a teaching assistant, helping the mentor manage the juniors' experiments. That's why I chose to give up direct admission to Peking University and insisted on taking the entrance exam. Because only by becoming the top scorer in the college entrance exam could I choose the top major in microelectronics and quickly enter the laboratory managed by Jiao. In September, I enrolled in Peking University. Oh right, I should mention, Yuan's score of 604 didn't get her into Peking University because this year's exam takers are all too outstanding. The competition is fierce. As for Chen Siwen, I heard he also failed to get into Tsinghua and is preparing to repeat the year. I have no tricks up my sleeve, I can only wish him good luck. Because next, I'm going to start my revenge plan. Through various applications and maneuvers, I, as a freshman, entered the laboratory where Jiao was, even though it was a special exception. Jiao has average academic abilities, but he knows how to disguise himself, pretending to be impressive, and at first, he could indeed fool people. The days in the lab were tough. Jiao constantly exploited me. Hey, newbie, you have to stay tonight to run the data. Okay, senior. I obediently complied, showing no resistance. You garbage, how could you only get this little data done? Do you have no shame? Useless. Jiao cursed at me just because I was 5 minutes late in handing him the data. But these tasks clearly weren't supposed to be mine. I took a deep breath and said, I'm sorry, senior, it's my fault. For an entire year, I was summoned and asked to run data, look for literature, and even act as a gopher. I lost 20 pounds and my face appeared unhealthily pale. A senior in the same lab couldn't stand it anymore and privately told me, meow meow, Jiao is just jealous of you. He bragged while drinking before, saying that you're a top scorer in the college entrance exam, but you're still just his dog. Doing all the hard work in the lab for him. I took a deep breath and forced a smile. Yeah, that was expected. By the way, senior, isn't the defense for our lab's new project next Monday? Yeah, but don't think about it, that kind of opportunity to shine in front of all the school leaders won't go to us little guys. It'll just be Jiao who gets to take the applause. He needs those achievements. If he publishes one more paper in a mid-tier journal, he can apply to go to an Ivy League school for his PhD. Jiao is truly disgusting. In the lab, he once again acted arrogantly toward me. Zhu meow meow, you need to stay overnight to integrate the data tonight. I'll be defending as the first author tomorrow. Oh, and you'll get the day off tomorrow, you don't have to come to the lab. He didn't want me in the lab because he was afraid I would spill the beans about all the tasks he had assigned to me that he should have done himself. First, it was just the hard work, but later, seeing how obedient I was and that I had a sharp mind, he began to assign me urgent tasks, like integrating data, while he went out drinking and chasing girls, boasting that he was about to go abroad for his PhD. The next day, I obediently didn't go to the lab and even took a leave of absence from school. I simply let loose, went shopping, bought pretty little dresses, got a hairstyle that made my face look smaller, and spent money on a stunning makeup look. Looking at myself in the mirror at that moment, I was as beautiful as a fairy. Compared to the ghostly look from the year I spent in the lab, it was like night and day. Time passed slowly, and finally, my phone in my bag rang. First, it was that senior calling. I hung up. She called 5 times in a row, and I kept hanging up. Then it was Jiao Renhao. Listening to the urgent ringing, I could almost imagine how embarrassed he was standing at the podium at that moment. On the third try, I picked up. Jiao Renhao's irritated voice came through. Zhu Miao Miao, what's going on? The data you were supposed to integrate has issues. Get over here right now. I didn't say anything and hung up. He called again, and his tone became softer. Zhu Miao Miao, how did you get that key data? Text me an explanation. Slap, I hung up again. Until I heard his voice quivering with a hint of crying. Zhu Miao Miao, hurry over, otherwise, I'm finished. I sneered, beg me. I beg you to help me. I scoffed, louder, you garbage, beg me. I returned the insults he had hurled at me before. When I arrived at the defense room, Jiao Renhao was almost in tears from being scolded by the principal. Because this idiot's academic level was too poor, I had intentionally omitted a step in the derivation process for the key data, and the school leaders asked him for specific derivations. He was completely frozen at the podium, stammering and unable to say anything, fully revealing his true academic level. Hello, teachers, this key data was produced by me, based on the formula we can derive. I was radiant at the podium, fully showcasing my expertise. Then, the principal led the applause, highly praising me. The sunlight streamed in from outside, casting a golden glow on me. This kind of brilliance was achieved through my own strength, not through the academic misconduct and theft of people like Jiao Renhao. After that, I submitted a report letter directly against Jiao Renhao. I reported him for academic misconduct, for stealing the first authored paper of the deceased Chen Runan, and for exploiting lab students, among other wrongdoings. The school took this very seriously. After confirming the investigation, they expelled Jiao Renhao. His reputation in the academic world was completely ruined, and his life was destroyed, all due to his own actions. Peking University's campus is beautiful and has a clear academic atmosphere. I was very happy, walking toward the new steps in the morning sun. In the distance, I heard Lu Lingli's voice. Zhu Miao Miao, what's your relationship with Chen Runan? You two look alike. I smiled. Zhu Miao Miao has fulfilled the regrets of Chen Runan, and Chen Runan has brought a new life to Zhu Miao Miao. They're not the same person, yet they are the same person. I am Zhu Miao Miao, and I am also Chen Runan. I deserve all the glory I have now. End.